everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to dive into a very opinionated subject matter, but what makes the 80s BMX GT lineup so captivating, specifically the 1987 GT Freestyle lineup. First things first, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming content and ring that bell for notifications. Subscribing takes just a fraction of a second and it helps me out, and I promise it doesn't hurt, not even a little. Okay, let's get back to it. Many of you know most of this information already, so it's irrefutable. However, some of you might learn something new. 1987 ushered in a pinnacle year for freestyle and GT. It's when most of us were between 7 and 14 years old, a time when things were less complicated and more grounded. The year is 1986, and Gary Turner is hard at work redesigning the iconic GT Performer frame. The newly designed Pro Performer and Pro Freestyle Tour frame set is dubbed by the community with a few terms. Some call it the coin roll frame, referring to the area behind the seat mast platform that resembles a stack of rolled quarters. Others refer to the design as S-bend or double bend frame, derived from the S or Z-shaped down tube and the flat platform area near the bottom bracket. Regardless of what you call it, everyone was drawn to it like a moth to flame. I still recall the first time I saw one of them. I had just moved into a new neighborhood and was riding my Ross bike around when I stumbled upon a group of kids with their bikes. And there it was, a 1987 Maui Blue GT Pro Performer. But what makes the 1987 GT Pro Performer and Pro Freestyle Tour so special? Well, first and foremost, 1987 was the first year GT introduced the T models for their flagship freestyle and racing lineup. This model was prestige level, best of the best, and most expensive. And fun fact, number one, Dyno and Robinson also introduced team models for 1987. This is the first year GT utilized the brand new Superlace high flange hubs in production. Prior to this, only OGK mags were available for the freestyle bikes. In order to purchase the Superlace wheel set, you needed to order a Pro Freestyle Tour with the Superlace options or purchase a T model with the Superlace option. And fun fact number two, in 1987, you could get a T model with OGK mags or Superlace wheels. And the Superlace wheels consisted of Gen 1 Superlace 36-hole spoke hubs, hollow axles, locking collars, sealed ball bearing cartridges, and they were coupled to Yukai hook end rims. Now, if you're interested in the generation of Superlace hubs and all of their differences, check out the video I made on this subject, which I'll leave a link down in the description for you. 1987 was the first year GT used the bubble font logo chain on some of the Pro Performers and all of the Pro Freestyle Tours, and of course the Pro Freestyle Tour T model. This is available in nickel plate and white painted links. Fun fact number three, there are two styles of decals in 1987. One version with white border around the Pro and Tour words, and another version without the white border. And believe me, both of them are legit and correct. Fun fact number four, all Pro Performer, Pro Freestyle Tour, and the Pro Freestyle Tour team models used a Pro Performer decal on the handlebars. That's because they were Pro Performer handlebars. There are no Pro Freestyle Tour decals for that 1987 year. 1987 was the first year all the freestyle bikes received the Odyssey gyro as standard equipment. While some of the late 1986 Pro Freestyle Tours were equipped with the Odyssey gyro, it was not shown in a catalog and not all of the bikes received them. 1987 was the start for all models from the Performer all the way up to the Team model. 1987 was the first year to use 990 mounts on the frame set and the first year to use the Diacomp 990 U-brake. Only the Pro Performer, the Pro Freestyle Tour, and of course the Pro Freestyle Tour Team model had the 990 mounts. The Performer was not equipped with a U-brake. 1987 was also the first year for the new GT LP2 low-profile freestyle tires, and you can catch a glimpse of these in the 1987 catalog. Most of the 1987s used leftover Shinko freestyle tires as they transitioned to the LP2 tires. Now, these came in solid white or black or in tan wall, in 20 by 1.75, and then later on 20 by 2.1. Another first for 1987 was the GT Power Series alloy 3-piece cranks. These are newly designed by SR and were exclusive to the T models, but could be purchased separately and installed as upgraded equipment. Now, I made a video about the history of the GT Power Series cranks, so if you're interested, check it out. Link is in the description. 1987 was the final year for OGK Performer mags and the final year for the GT mallet stem. Another new or interesting fact, 1987 was the first year for full production to use the Amy Freestyle rounds. Now these are a single flange version of the standard rounds, and GT switched to a newer design grip in 1988, making these freestyle rounds basically a one-year wonder and very difficult to get nowadays. Finding these in NOS or mint condition are not impossible, but you better bring your wallet. Another first for 1987 was the introduction of the steel tube rides with knurling, dubbed in the community as shorties, being the shortest length at just under 2.5 inches long. Now, before the comment section blows up, yes, I'm aware that GT used this style of peg prior to 1987, but they were smooth OD and they had grip tape on them, so it's not the same. 1987 was also the first year for GT to use the Diacomp Tech 7 182 aerial levers for their flagship models, with the Freestyle lineup getting the locking button versions. Now, prior to 1987, GT used the Diacomp Tech 5 levers on their high-end models. An additional first for 1987 was the internal cable routing through the frame for the rear brake. Love it or hate it, that's the way it was. While not a first year for the SP SR 474 pedals, it was absolutely the first year for the SR 474 pedals with 9/16 spindles and only available for the team models. 1987 was the first production year to utilize the gyro-friendly Epoch headset, dubbed the Freestyle Epoch by many. I made a video on this subject as well, and that is also down in the description. Another first and only for 1987 was the Viscount 2123 seat. That's right, 1986 used the Viscount 2169, and 1988 and up used the Viscount 2188, making this year a one and only, so they're pretty rare. Another first and only use was the GT Wing logo power disc. This tough neck style power disc was used only in 1987 for the higher end bikes, namely the Pro Freestyle Tour, the Pro Freestyle Tour team model, the Pro Series team model, the Dyno Pro Comp team model, and even the Robinson Racing Pro team model. Well, the main feature of this power disc in the chainring combo was the flexibility to the rider to switch gear ratios by removing the bolted on chainring and swapping it out. However, you now have 3 basic parts to contend with, which adds additional cost. The power disc itself, the chainring, and of course the chainring bolts, usually sold in sets of 5. To save costs, GT switched to a solid chainring sprocket in 1988 with the elimination of the ability to change the gear ratio without swapping the entire sprocket. Now this sprocket was used for multiple years rather than just 1 or 2, and I made a video going over this power disc and how to tell the knockoff disc from the original. Link is in the description. Special thanks to Wagner for the use of his video. Now, if you're not subscribed to BMX Freestyle Fanatic, you need to be. He has some phenomenal GT and dyno content, so make sure you check it out and get subbed. Anyway, 1987 brought out some colorful ads that graced our favorite magazines back in the day. Whether it was BMX Action, Freestyling, BMX Plus, or whatever you were reading, the GT presence was multi-page and grabbed your attention. Plus, there was a 1987 catalog that was very well laid out and full of eye candy. 1987, we had some of the best pro riders as well, like the chairman, Martin Aparijo, or Josh White, aka Dr. Air, and of course the king of the skate parks, Mr. Eddie Fiola. On a side note, this would be Eddie's final year with GT as a sponsored rider, after 4 years being with the brand. Now, on the dyno side, there was Dave Volker, who was new to dyno in 1987, and of course Dino DeLuca. This team was central to the success of the Pro Freestyle Tour, the Pro Comp, and the Pro Performer, as they introduced groundbreaking tricks and unbelievable ramp stunts, similar to the old NASCAR approach of win on Sunday and sell on Monday. For the entry level in the freestyle lineup, there is the Performer. Now this subject is somewhat controversial, as the 1984 Performer's iconic frame design by Eddie Fiola and Bob Morales is now being offered as entry level. It is not fully 4130 chromoly. To save costs and allow the bike to be affordable to newcomers and beginners, it did not have 990 mounts or a U-brake. The Performer did not come with a GT mallet stem either. It was equipped with a lot of lower end parts like the Odyssey FS 2000 front brake and the Changstar center pull rear brake mounted on the chainstay crossover tube. Many of the components were made in Taiwan, like the Changstar brake levers. The headset used on the Performer was not an Epoch low profile found on the higher end models. GT used a generic headset for the Performer. Now, these frame sets were always made in the Orient. Now, price new in 1987 was around $200 depending on your local bike shop. And if they were available in black, white, magenta, chrome plate, GT blue, aka Maui blue, bubblegum pink, and lavender. Dayglow pink was not available on the Performer in 1987. Next up is the Pro Performer. Now let's just get something clear here. There are absolutely zero differences between the Pro Performer, the Pro Freestyle Tour, and the Pro Freestyle Tour team model in terms of the frame, fork, handlebars, and seat post in 1987 to about 1989. If you strip them of their parts, their decals, and then remove all the paint and lined up all three frame sets, you would not be able to tell the difference between them. No, team models do not have thicker dropouts, at least not GT and not 1987. Now, I made a video about this subject. I'll leave that down in the description. We'll go over that, but believe me, it's just a myth. Now, the Pro Performer is a step up from the Performer, and it uses the new coin roll or S-bend frame set, fully 4130 chromoly. The one-piece cranks are always caged ball, they're not sealed, and the cheese grater sprocket was used. Odyssey RX3 brake levers up top, Diacomp FS 880 front brake in the front, and the new Diacomp 990 rear brake on the U-brake posts. OGK mags, GT mallet stem, and a few other upgrades over the Performer. Now the colors available were black, white, chrome plate, GT blue, aka Maui blue, lavender, and Dayglow pink. Magenta was not available on the Pro Performer in 1987. The retail price was around $280 to $300 depending on where you're getting the bike from. Next up is the Pro Freestyle Tour. Using the same coin roll frame set as the Pro Performer, the Pro Freestyle Tour turns it up a notch, taking the rider from beginner to intermediate. Gone is the cheese-grated sprocket, and now they're using the power disc and chainring held on with the 5 chainring bolts. It gives the rider the ability to upgrade the ratios as they feel fit. Many of the Pro Performers received the WS chain or a KMC, and the Pro Freestyle Tour used the bubble font logo chain in 3/32. Now, the bottom brackets are sealed on a majority of the Pro Freestyle Tours, but not all of them. Some received cage ball setup. Remember, quality wasn't just spot on back in the day. However, they should have all been received with seal ball bearings. At least my 88 came that way. On the Pro Freestyle Tour, the front brake is now upgraded from the Diacomp FS 880 to the Diacomp 883 with the quick release and the fine-tuning adjustment. Out back, the Diacomp 990U brake clamps that rear wheel down. The stem is still the mallet stem. It would be the final year for them to use the mallet stem. And the brake levers vary between Odyssey RX3 and Diacomp Tech 7. I've seen both on the Pro Freestyle Tour. It's just very random. Pedals, they would vary between Shimano DX SR474 and Hinsing HTI A6s, depending on stock availability. No matter what, they were always half-inch spindle size. Wheels were almost always OGK Performer mags. But remember, you could option your Pro Freestyle Tour with super lace wheels in 1987. They also came with bolt-on frame standers and flip-down fork standers as standard equipment. Now let's get to the colors. So availability was black, white, chrome-plated, GT blue, aka Maui blue, lavender, Dayglow pink, and bubblegum pink, which is very rare. Magenta was not available on the 1987 Pro Freestyle Tour. Now, retail pricing would be around $330 to $350, depending on where you were buying the bike from. Which brings us to the top shelf Flagship team model. New for 1987, the team model was designed to give the rider a professional bike with all the best components. The major differences between the Pro Freestyle Tour and the Pro Freestyle Tour team model basically boils down to the cranks. Let's break it down. Right off the start, the one-piece cranks are shelved in favor of a brand new SR-made GT Power Series alloy 3-piece cranks. Now these use a chromoly spindle forged aluminum alloy crank arms, and the arms came in different lengths, such as 175 millimeter, 170 millimeter, 180 millimeter, while the Pro Freestyle Tour usually received 175 millimeter length. Now, there's also a 150 millimeter crank arm, but they weren't used on the Pro Freestyle Tour T model. So if you'd like to know more about the entire history of the GT Power Series cranks or the differences between the OG cranks and the production versions, check out my video I made about this. The link is in the description. All Pro Freestyle Tour T models received sealed bottom brackets. Sealed ball bearing cartridges lended to more of a maintenance-free system, and you didn't have to worry about greasing any of that stuff. Up top, we have Diacomp Tech 7 locking levers and a Diacomp 883 on the front wheel with the Diacomp 990U brake taking care of the back wheel. This is the same setup as the Pro Freestyle Tour. Fun fact number 5. Some people believe there are 2 different Dayglow pink colors for 1987, and therefore 3 pink colors overall. Now, the reasoning for the 2 Dayglow pink colors is somewhat of an argument in the community, and we'll save that for another video. The other pink was bubblegum pink, which was a carryover from 1986 and extremely limited, making survivors very rare. Fun fact number 6. The 1987 GT Pro Performer, Pro Freestyle Tour, and of course the T model were always made in the USA. Despite what some people think, if your serial number contains all numbers and no letters whatsoever, then it was made in Huntington Beach, California, in the good old USA. Now, some people think the frame set has to be stamped FS to indicate the frame was made in the USA. And not having the FS stamp meant it was made in the Orient. This is just not true at all. And I made a video about this subject. There's plenty of information in that video. The link is down in the description. I recommend you check it out. Fun fact number 7. This is kind of tied into number 6. FS. It means freestyle. That's it. Fun fact number 8. The paint finishes on the Pro Performer, the Pro Freestyle Tour, and the T model, as well as all the higher-end dynos like the Pro Comp, the Pro Series on the racing side, were always electrostatic powder coat epoxy paint. They were not liquid sprayed. Now here is some proof of that, right from GT, right from Gary Turner.
Ready to leave the facility to be either powder coat epoxy painted or chrome plated. The painting process is an electrostatic powder coat epoxy finish. It's a very environmentally safe type of finish, and it's a very durable, long-lasting finish.
For GT. All right, so now I've got 3 things, and then the same box company that GT used, I had them make my box. The same sticker company they used, I had them make my stickers. The same powder coat company, which is Olympic powder coating. That's it. Anyhow, I had them paint the bike.
Fun fact number 9. The serial numbers on the Performer through the Pro Freestyle Tour T model indicate the year of manufacture, the month of manufacture, and production sequence only. That's it. Meaning, you can't tell if the bike was a T model from the serial number. You can't tell if it was black or blue. You can't tell the model. You can't tell what material it was made out of. It just doesn't work that way. And on the lower end bikes, like the Comp and the Performer, they were always made in the Orient. So there will be letters in the serial to indicate source of manufacturing, production lines, and things of that nature. Fun fact number 10. The serial manufacturing year does not indicate production model year. So let's think about this. You could absolutely buy a 2027 vehicle in 2026. Now the VIN number might indicate it was manufactured in 2026, but the vehicle is 2027 by design. You see where this is going? So that same logic needs to be applied to the bikes when they were being manufactured. So what does that mean? Well, if you have a 1087 serial frame, it could either be a 1987 model by parts, colors, and decals, or a 1988 with the same logic. Now, GT switched models over about midway through the calendar year, and of course, there's always outliers for everything that has a condition. So using up old stock for parts or even a radical frame design change would lend them to change the time frame in which they were switching over. The Pro Freestyle Tour T model also received the SR SP474 pedals with 9/16 spindles. Now these were a favorite pedal amongst the pro riders at the time, and notably because of the rubber pad on the pedal platform that assisted with the grip for your footwear. Now, these pedals were cast aluminum and equipped with loose ball bearings like 90% of all the pedals on the market at the time, and I'm not aware of any other pedal manufacturer used besides SR for the 1987 Pro Freestyle Tour T model. So if yours came with something different from the factory, let me know in the comments. Wheels were either Superlace or OGK mags, and I know I've said this a few times in this video already, but remember, you could get them either way. So the majority of the T models were equipped with Superlace wheels because it was the new thing. Remember, this is the first year for Superlace on the production bikes. Carrying on the GT tradition of bolt-ons are better than weld-on pegs, the T models received frame standers and flip-down fork standers, as well as a set of tube rides. The final cherry on top was the addition of the T model decal on the top tube of the frame, indicating the prestige level of trim. This was the best of the best and the most expensive. Now, there are quite a few other differences between the models that I did not mention. I didn't want this to run into an hour-long video. For example, on the Performer, you would end up getting freewheels on the OGK mags that were not serviceable like the Sun Tour counterparts. Now, usually these were dicta freewheels, and in some cases, you would literally have to destroy them to get them off the threads. Now, starting with the Pro Performer, the freewheels started to have notches built into them so you could use a tool to loosen them and get them off. Now that's just one example. The colors available were pretty much the same as the Pro Freestyle Tour. You had black, white, chrome plate, GT blue, aka Maui blue, lavender, bubblegum pink, and of course, what everybody was attracted mostly to, the Dayglow pink. Magenta was not available on the Pro Freestyle Tour T model in 1987. Now, retail pricing was around $460 to $480 through the mail orders, and well over $500 if you were buying this from your local bike shop. So I hope this video clears up a lot of misconceptions and ambiguity about the 1987 GT Freestyle lineup. Now, it's hard to process that nearly 4 decades have passed since these bikes were released. And remember, I just went over the main highlights and focus areas of these bikes. Otherwise, this video would have probably been over an hour long. Anyway, let me know in the comments what your original performers through your team models had back in the day. Just drop me some comments, let me know. I love reading them and responding. And let me know if I missed something. And that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't. And now get back to your builds. Stay safe. Stay healthy, and remember, tomorrow is not guaranteed.